Andrew, that I think really gives you a sense, allows us to kind of frame the importance, the potentially historic nature of a Conservative win here. The last Conservative MP for this area was a child of the 70s, but that was the 1870s. William Nunn was born in 1879 and was holding a seat.
I remember him. I
think
I interviewed him.
I think you did. Yeah. Do you remember what he said?
A sense of humour, in spite of what looks like a defeat they're heading for. One UKIP activist just saying to me recently that whatever the result, Paul Nuttall's website will say he's won.
Yes. Well, that may be in character. Who
the extent of it, Andrew.
No, but I understand that was the explanation. But it wasn't just Hillsborough, though, that I think that did matter for a lot of people. It was also his relationship with Tranmere Rovers, which wasn't quite what he had claimed it to be, and his so-called PhD, which was not a PhD. It just created a sense that he had a lot of questions to answer, and I would suggest got in the way of you getting your other messages across. Okay, but it seems to me from your whole demeanour and what you're saying here is that you're getting your excuses in first now, aren't you?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite.
You're getting your excuses in now. It doesn't, from your demeanour and the way you're going on about the disadvantages Mr. Nuttall faced, many of his own making, that it hasn't gone as well for you as you would have hoped. Better indication. Matt Hancock, did your party try very hard in Stoke?
Well, we campaigned in Stoke. The Prime Minister.
I know you did, but you try very hard.
Yeah, I think as a party, yes. I went to Copeland. I didn't go to. You
didn't go to Stoke?
But
what's the name of your candidate in Stoke?
He's a. I didn't meet him because I didn't go.
Oh, Phil Brereton.
No, it's not Phil.
No,
actually, it's Jack Brereton.
Yeah, Jack Brereton.
So you tried so hard you didn't know the name of your candidate.
Well, as I said, I went up and campaigned in Copeland. Lots of people went to Stoke as well. The Prime Minister went to both, so we campaigned in. We campaigned in both. But clearly, the central point here is.
Well, of course, you campaigned in both. It's a by-election. Of course, you campaigned. My question was, did you try very hard, or in fact, did you not really pour the resources into Copeland? Because that was the one that you hoped to win.
By the way, he's not been around Stoke for much. You know that.
I got all that, Jack Dromey. We're just watching him come here. I wanted to ask you a question. You talked about George Robertson saying we've never needed NATO more. He, of course, being a former Secretary General of NATO, so it's not surprising he's saying that. Has Jeremy Corbyn ever said we've never needed NATO more?
Policy of the Labour Party is to support NATO, because NATO is necessary to the defence and national security, not just of the British people, but of continental Europe.
But has Jeremy Corbyn ever said that, Mr. Dromey?
Ours was a united campaign with
has Jeremy Corbyn ever said
standing
that?
behind.
It's a simple question, Mr. Dromey. Has Jeremy Corbyn ever said that NATO has never been needed more?
Look, we are a united party tonight, standing firmly behind. At all levels, there has been support from Jeremy downwards for everything we have said here in Stoke. So what we are saying is where Labour stands, and not where some would misrepresent Labour to stand.
Mr. Dromey, because you can't tell me if your leader has ever said that he supports NATO and believes that NATO has never been more necessary. I'll ask you one more time. Can you tell me when he said that?
It's the policy of the Labour Party, of which he is leader, to support NATO.
Has he ever said it?
Full stop. Look, Andrew, with the greatest of respect, we can twist and turn on this. We're not.
It's not a twist and turn. It's a simple question. Has your leader ever said he supports NATO and believes it's never been more important? It's a simple question.
I've given you my answer. I've given you my answer from Jeremy downwards. Everything we have said here in Stoke is said by a united Labour Party.
Very well.
The messages that we've sent here in Stoke are the messages of the Labour Party.
All right. We'll leave it there. We thank you, Mr. Dromey. I think we are getting close to a result there. Our viewers, of course, will make up their minds on how you answered that question, as the viewers always do. At this stage in the proceedings, we'd like to offer our warmest congratulations to Paul Nuttall MP on his victory in the Stoke and Trent by-election. I appreciate the more sentient among you will realise that the results aren't in yet and that this is just another example of fake news, but face facts. UKIP's leader has a Hillsborough Hero Medal, a PhD from Harvard, and was Man U's star striker for a decade. Such a Renaissance man was always going to be a shoo-in in Stoke. It follows that we must send our sincere commiserations, or even commiserations, to Labour candidate Gareth Snell. We've been spoiled with his wisdom and insights during the campaign, especially about women, or as he calls them, squabbling sour-faced ladies. Clearly, this is the man who taught Donald Trump everything he knows about Twitter. Meanwhile, with their enemies in chaos all around them, Mrs May's Tories grow smugger than Jack Smug McSmug the year he won the Smuggest Person of the Year competition. But when they're not smugging it up, do they ever wonder what their leader really stands for? That if we ended up with no deal, and she said no deal would be better than a bad deal, she said, but if that happened, we'd have to reconsider our economic model. What did she mean by that?
Well, she's been very clear that we'll protect workers' rights, for instance.
Right, but that's the existing economic model.
Well, I was going to come on to. I mean, that is our economic
What did she
policy.
mean by reconsider our economic model?
Making sure that we are competitive as a nation, so that we can succeed. But we're confident that
you wouldn't do that anyway.
Well, making sure that we are, you've got to do as much as you can. But
sure, but I thought surely all governments want to try and make us competitive. What did she mean by saying we'd have to reconsider the economic model?
What she meant was making sure that we can make a success of Brexit, because we'll have to trade around the world and trade globally.
But we do trade around the world at the moment. You see, by not being able to answer that question, you've allowed Labour to fill the question.
I did.
Labour's saying that what she meant was a tax haven, Singapore, deregulated, low protection kind of economy. That's what they're saying. I'm not saying that's true or not, but your inability to answer the question means they can fill the vacuum. So shall I give you one more chance?
So I don't
what does an economic rethinking it mean?
It means being a highly competitive economy, especially on the tax side. But we've been clear about we've been clear about protecting workers' rights, and she has. In fact, we've just introduced the national living wage.
Lower taxes.
And so is it not the economic model at the moment of this government to produce a highly competitive economy?
Yes, of course it is.
So that's not any different then. What was new? What was she talking about that she would have to reconsider?
Well, she also mentioned, as part of this, in the being competitive in terms of taxes. But the question is this.
But isn't that existing government policy?
Well, we are reducing corporation tax.
So I'll try one more time. I'm beginning to feel like asking Jack Dromey about NATO, but it's a different question. What would be new about a new economic model?
Well, that we would be as competitive as possible. But the thing is this,
is existing policy to be as uncompetitive as possible?
No, of course it's not. You're making
what's the difference?
Dichotomy. But the point is this. We think that we're going to make a success of Brexit, and I think that...
Let us say that it's looking very close here at Copeland, and I think that's a testament to the campaign that the Labour Party has run here at a time when we're somewhere between 15 and 18 points behind in the polls. To be still waiting on a result here in Copeland and not sure which way it's going to fall is testament to the campaign we ran, and actually tapping into the issues that people feel about very strongly around here, which is about the NHS and particularly about hospital services in West Cumbria.
But hold on, if it's on a knife edge, this is a Labour seat that you're defending in a by-election in the middle of a Conservative government. It shouldn't be on a knife edge. You should be walking it.
Andrew, I think it's fair to say that Copeland has never been a safe Labour seat. It's always been a marginal seat, and actually with recent boundary changes it's become yet more marginal. But we've never held Copeland with, huge majorities like perhaps in other parts of the country. It's always been one of those seats which is made up of very different kinds of demographics.
When did you last lose it?
So Well, although Labour's always held, as far as I'm aware, the seat of Copeland, it's never been by particularly huge majorities, and it was considered to be one of our marginal seats and key ones to defend in the last 2 general elections. And at a time when the Labour Party isn't doing particularly well in the national polls, to be waiting to find out the result from Copeland, to me, suggests that the issues that we've been talking about in this by-election campaign, issues around hospital services, issues actually about West Cumberland Hospital, which is about an hour's drive away from Carlisle,
sure,
where
I know these
mothers
were the
in
issues
Labour would be having to travel in difficult pregnancies. I think that's really something that people feel very strongly about in this part of the world.
Well, they may do, but we've yet to see whether they feel strongly enough to keep your party in power.